You remember that image of him kissing the family photos every time he played a big pot? In the year of Joe Hashem, this guy finished 13th for a cool $400,000. Bernard Lee is our guest today. Bernard, a true pleasure, man. Thanks for joining us.
Not a problem, thank you.
Hey, listen, I reached out to you over the holidays after reading an article in Card Player magazine about your charity work. I love to see when poker players give back. Every year, you're helping needy kids in the New England area. I think that's great, man. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I've been doing this for almost a decade, and about 5 years ago, this was pre-Black Friday, and I just felt just so fortunate doing what I was doing. I was spokesperson for Foxwoods. I was had the show on ESPN. Said writing for Card Player, writing for Boston Herald. I mean, really, it was almost too much. They nicknamed me one of the busiest men in poker, and I just felt like it was just ridiculous that I was able to do something that I loved this much for a job. And I was talking with one of my sponsors at the time, which was Cabot Cheese. They're a great cheese company up here in New England. And Card Player had, I think, just a year or two earlier, named me the voice of the voice of New England poker, and I just felt like I needed to do something. And I talked to the sponsor and said, "Listen, part of the sponsorship is I want to start a charity program. Will you help in that?" They just thought it was a great idea, and we started it that year and decided to put two of my loves together, obviously poker, and then also I love my kids. You mentioned the picture of my kids. So we decided to find organizations and children who are not as needy, that are very needy in the New England area, and help them out. And we've been doing this now for 5 years. We've helped out over 300 kids, over 150 families, and it really has been a joy. It's something that my family looks forward to every year, not just myself. My kids have really gotten involved. They both have come to every single event. They actually spoke at this year's event. And we even expanded it out a little bit more this year. We went to Cambridge. We actually went to Harvard Square, my alma mater, and I know that in that area there are a lot of homeless people, a lot of homeless veterans, and just people who stay around Harvard Square. And we took some of the funds from the Huse Charity Program and decided on Christmas Eve that we would walk around for a couple hours, and any homeless person we saw, we'd say, "We want to buy you something to eat." And we took care of over a dozen people, and it was just such a gratifying activity that you get to do, and my kids really enjoyed it as well, and we had a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what, it's a great thing. I don't think enough poker players do that. I hope that continues for a long time to come. It's important to note, too, and maybe you want to rifle off a few here, but you've had a lot of help. You've made a lot of contacts in poker, and you had some good sponsors this year, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate. A lot of people, some people have said, "Why do you put this in the press, etc." I said, well, if you put it in the press, then it legitimizes it. And we're fortunate that when we send off, like Sports Illustrated for Kids, they send us magazines, because the one thing that I really stress with regards to our activity is it's not just about giving them toys. It's not just about that. It's about their entire quality of life. And we do everything from some kind of art supply, some kind of book, some kind of magazine, some kind of game, some kind of sporting equipment, some kind of clothes, and often some kind of special thing. We also include a stuffed animal. And the reason why is that we really want them, it's not just about getting a toy. We really want them to understand that quality of life. So Sports Illustrated for Kids has been fantastic. They've given us a magazine each time. Chili's has been a sponsor of ours for 3 years. They allow us to give gift certificates to the families, not just the kids, but the families, so that they can have a Christmas or holiday meal as well. They donate crayons as well for the kids to enjoy. My clothing sponsor, Run Good Gear, A lot of the Run Good Gear pros donate toys and gifts for the kids as well. So we're really fortunate to get some people. A lot of the funds actually just come straight out of my pocket, my quote unquote company's pocket. I write columns and then I turn it around and buy some of the stuff for the kids. But it's really something that's special and we enjoy it.
Well, that's great stuff. And if anyone's listening that wants to get involved, just go to his website at bernardleepoker.com. I know you've given back in other ways too through your radio show, a couple of $10,000 main event buy-ins. Keep it up, man. That's all good stuff. That's called karma for you when you're playing. Now, you've been able to use your poker success to do all these things. And let's talk about 2005. Before we talk about the books, the articles, the radio shows, we've got to talk about the thing that set it up. And I got to believe that's what it did. It set it up for you, was the 2005 main event, the biggest poker show on earth. And there you were, man, right in the mix. I know you get asked about it a lot. Do you ever tire of talking about it?
No, I mean, it's such a special time. And, it's crazy to think that now I cover the people who make it that deep. And I've spoken to pretty much every November Niner for my radio show. I've actually only not interviewed 3 November Niners since the inception.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the reason isn't that I didn't get to. One of them did not want to talk because he felt like he would be giving away strategy.
Fair enough.
Which I told him, I said, we don't have to even talk about poker. Just tell us about your life. And he still didn't want to. He felt like he would accidentally say something. And then 2 of them, they felt their language barrier was too difficult to overcome. And I even said, I'll get a translator. I don't mind. What I mean? But beyond that, I've spoken to every single November Niner. I've written about probably about a third or a quarter of them. I've written a story about them for ESPN. So I know a lot about them. So to say back in 2005, I was one of these guys is pretty surreal, even thinking about it now.
Absolutely. I remember you being short stack for a while. Back then, were the pay jumps different? I know it was life-altering money at that point. Did you allow yourself at any point to think about winning it all, the whole enchilada, $7.5 million, or were you stuck in the very moment in survival mode? I mean, it must have been intense, right?
Yeah, it's a little different. For people who know about the World Series main event, right now you get 30,000 chips, 3 times the buy-in. Back then, we only got 10,000 chips. We only got what the buy-in was. So the money bubble now breaks late in day 3. It used to be day 4. The reason why day 3 is because 1,000 people cash this year, not just 10%. But that year, it broke the beginning of day 3. Like, we came back with 9 people left to get to the money. So, and now, mind you, we also played we didn't play 2-hour levels. We played hour 40-minute levels. And we played like 7-8 levels on day 1. We went till 3:30 in the morning, which in today's world, we only go till like 11:30. It's almost too short in my book. So we went really late, and it was unbelievable. My day 1 was amazing. I still remember it. I ended day 1 like 61, 62,000. And in today's world, that's nothing. But remember, we started out with 10,000 chips. So if you're starting with 30,000 chips, I ended day 1 with like 190,000, which is among the chip leaders. I think there was like 2,000 people left, and I was like 100th out of everybody. So I had an incredible start. Day 2 went just really well as well. I think I ended with like 100,000. Then I think day 3 was a struggle. We broke the money, and it just didn't go that well. And then from there, it was, like you said, short stack bill. I was 40% the average stack every day going into the next day. I think with like 175 left, I was like 147. With 57 left, I was 52nd. With 27 left, I was 22nd or 23rd or something like that. Every day, I would go in with a short stack, but I would be fortunate that within the first 2 levels, I would have a huge double up somehow. I still remember all of them. Ace kings into ace queen, kings into 4s, and aces into queens. I still remember them because they're so vivid. And that's when you're just focusing so much on just surviving. I will say the first time I ever thought about it was at dinner on the last day. There were 18 of us left. We went to dinner. and all of a sudden you look and go, holy crap. I mean, there's only 18 of us left, and I really have a shot.
It's
I
incredible.
really have a shot. So that was really the first time that I thought about it. I don't think it really affected me. Like, I didn't say anything like, oh, and it changed my style. That's not the case. But it definitely did, make me go, oh, I can't believe I'm getting this close.
Well, I know it's hard to explain for anybody to anybody that hasn't been in that moment. A special time for you. I know it's a lifetime highlight, and congratulations on that. Now, it's funny, Bernard. I have to apologize in advance. Doing research for this interview, I admit I was surprised to see on the Hendon Mob database all of your caches. I mean, you're still playing top quality. Wins on the WSOP circuit, the Run Good Tour, 4 caches this past summer at the WSOP, and 8th in the World Championship of Deuce to 7 Lowball. You cashed in the Colossus, back-to-back caches in the Millionaire Maker. I mean, this is incredible. I know you as the voice of poker. I didn't realize you're still playing at this high level.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because they look at what I do right now, and there are a lot of people out there who see me playing and they go, "Oh yeah, the ESPN guy is trying to play now," and I look and I go, "What? What do you mean?" And they go, "Well, you do all the commentating, right?" I said, "Yeah." "You write for Card Player and ESPN?" "Yeah." And they said, "Well, now you're trying to play," and I look at him, I go, I'm not sure if you know, but I've been playing a hell of a lot longer before than I was doing that stuff. And so, you get a lot of people who, you can't relate it to their stardom, but like there's some singers who are actors and they go vice versa and they say, oh, he's just an actor trying to sing. And they're like, wait a second, he was a singer before he was ever an actor. And, people think that I don't play anymore. I'm still a pro. This is what I do. And people ask me, which one would you rather do? Would you rather be a pro or would you rather be a media person? I said, well, I don't think I could be a pro if I wasn't. I don't think I could be a media person if I wasn't still a pro. And I think that that's the reason why I'm able to do what I do at such a high level. I give interviews or I do interviews for my radio show and ESPN. And the reason why a lot of people do interviews with me and a lot of times why they ask me to do the interviews is because I can ask questions that realistically not many people out there who are in the media can ask, because I've been there. I've done it. I still do it. I play against these guys. And so, for me to talk to Michael Mizrahi, I can talk about hands that we have played against each other.
Right.
Daniel Negreanu, he can constantly kid about me in 2010, 2011 WPT championship where I 3-outed him to survive in a tournament, and he'll constantly joke about it with me. There aren't many people in this world who not only have access to them, but also can say that they've played on their level at their levels. And, when you talk about the final table I made this year, the final table of the 10K Deuce to 7 Lowball Championship, the final table was a huge deal. I mean, just to put in perspective, Eli Lesra, Eric Seidel, Nick Schulman, Phil Galfond, Dan Smith. I mean, these are the best names in poker.
Well, not only that, there's no fish in that field. I mean, that's top quality, top to bottom.
John Turner, Pearl Jammer, Adam Owen, who's a really young, great player from England as well. And so when they announced the final table of that, you should have seen the tweets coming back in or the text coming back in going, holy cow, you're at this table. I said, it was kind of one of those like, thanks, but why are you so surprised?
Right.
Like, don't act that surprised. Like, I understand that is a big deal and it is a great big deal, but I still play, and this is what I do. And earned a WSOP ring a year or so ago. I just missed my second one a few months ago. I was a 2-1 chip leader and lost 2 flips literally back to back.
I forgot to mention you got a couple 6-figure scores as well, including titles at the World Poker Final. So what happens in these big main event championships at the World Series of Poker is people run deep, and the rest of the poker world goes, "Oh, that was a fluke. Let's see where he'll be in 5 years." You, in your case, have proven that was no fluke.
Well, and I think that that's really truly why I do what I do, is that exactly what you just said. I don't want people to be like, oh, he was a one-hit wonder. And, I have 80 cashes to my name, over 30 final tables. I've won 6 titles. I've had 4 six-figure scores. I've won over 2.2 million. This is what I do, and I have no problem that people don't know it, especially when we're playing at the same table. I actually like it, and when people underestimate me, that's great. I love that, and then every once in a while we'll go to a final table and somebody was smart enough to do the research and look it up, and then they go, holy cow, I had no idea that you had cashed that many times. I go, yeah, well, for better or worse, I still play, and I play a lot. And, I don't play at the levels that we used to play, $10,000 buy-ins, etc. And primarily it's not that I'm scared to play at those levels. I'll play at those levels all day and night. But I'm also, a former business guy, and I think money management is absolutely critical. And I'm not going to put my family's, life in jeopardy with regards to mortgaging the house because I want to play in every $10,000, $1 million event. And so I'm very conservative about my money, and I have my sponsorships, and I'm fortunate that I work for the media, etc. And I just make sure that I'm very diligent about how I spend my money. And, I played the 10,000 deuce to 7. I played the 10,000 main event, and, I'm confident that I was plus EV on those events, and that's why I played them, and so, but I enjoy it. I still love playing poker. I just still can't believe this is what I do for a living, and, I'm fortunate that I'm able to ride both sides of the fence in the scenario of playing professionally, but also being part of the media. There's actually a rule at the World Series of Poker, indirectly because of me, that you have to hand in your badge when you play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so they said on one of the conference calls, okay, so from now on, if you're a media member, you have to hand in your badge. If you remember, there was a huge controversy in Europe where supposedly one of the the faux members of the media was giving signals. So after that, they said the media people have to hand in their badge. They said, well, what about Bernard? And there was a controversy. Ultimately, it had to be that we had all hand in our badge, including myself. And so, ironically, I don't really pick up my badge until the main event is over because it's ridiculous. I would literally be handing my badge back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And if I need my badge, and in all honesty, most of the people know who I am. So if I walked onto the main event stage, no one's going to tackle me. Even if I don't have a badge. If I walk through the main area, most people will be like, don't worry, he's with ESPN or something like that.
You mentioned earlier about the Card Player magazine line where it says, forget Dan Harrington and his green Boston Red Sox hat. Bernard Lee is the true voice of poker in Massachusetts. Now that's saying something, man. Harrington, of course, a world champion, back-to-back main event final tables. That's got to feel good. Do you have a relationship with Dan?
I don't. I've actually tried to get in touch with him. He's not really in the poker world as much right now, so it's a little bit different. He doesn't live in the Boston area as much. I think he lives in Vegas, and I don't think that really takes away anything from Dan. I think it's I know that they mentioned Dan in that sentence that they wrote about, and I actually know the person who wrote that. But I think what it really just means is that I'm in touch with New England, but I also represent New England, and media-wise and playing-wise, I don't think that takes anything away from Dan, because realistically, Dan doesn't do that in the media. So I think it was a little bit of, not misquoting, but just kind of a unusual place to put Dan. I think it was really more of, you see Dan wearing these Boston hats, but Bernard is really the true voice.
Yeah, it's not as if he's competing for that role with you. Yeah.
No. I don't think he ever was. I don't think he ever meant to. And I'm not trying to compete against Dan Harrington. And, I'm not saying I'm the best New England poker player by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think I'm not up there. I mean, I think last time I checked, I was still top 10 in career earnings in Massachusetts all time. So I know I'm still up there. And I know I can compete with the best of them. I've played on the biggest stages, and I know I can and do that. But I don't think that it was the same context.
I know you love playing the game. Which do you prefer, the instructing, the writing, or the broadcasting?
I mean, I do love it all, in all honesty. I think I would probably say I miss the broadcasting because I haven't done it in a while. In the sense of ESPN, we had the show for 3 years. It was such a great show. It was really going to gain a lot of momentum. Unfortunately, because of sponsorships and Black Friday, that's why that went away. And I love doing it. I love doing the commentating. I've done that for the World Series the last few years and did it for the World Series circuit. So I really like the broadcasting side of it. But like I said, I love writing. I just finished a column for Card Player and ESPN, and I love giving my voice to it. I actually look back. I've been writing for Card Player now for 5 years, ESPN for almost 10, and what I just found amazing was my first column for Card Player I wrote down, and it was literally almost like a thank you for letting me write, because I just can't believe that I'm writing for the magazine that I started writing for. I started reading, and I still remember when I would look at the column, and in the back it would say all of the tournaments that were played across the country, and they would always put down the top 10 people, right? So they would put down the final table list. And I said to my wife, and I said to myself, I said, one day I'm going to be in this. I'm going to make a final table, and you're going to see my name on this. And to see myself writing this, in the magazine, I think it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's just unbelievable that I went from I just want to see my name in the magazine to now being part of it. And, being a member of the ESPN family is just even more ridiculous. I mean, that's like every male's dream. Right?
Absolutely.
To be able to do that, and to be able to take my son to ESPN and let him see the campus. I think that if people know the Usain Bolt commercial, the This Is Sports Center one, where he like runs out and he comes back and they give him a towel and the whole deal.
Yeah, I saw that.
We actually were there for that. Our show was being taped, and as we came out of our studio, there was a person in a headset that had their finger over their lips, like, shh, don't say anything. And we're like, what are you talking about? And as we turned the corner, they're doing that commercial. And so we sat there for 30 minutes watching them make that commercial. I mean, that's just cool.
It is cool. It's all because of a card game, too. It's all because of something you love. And, that's something to take note of, listeners. If you love something, go for it, because this man has, and he certainly made a success of it. Two more questions sort of relate to the state of the game. I play in Canada. I can still play online. You can't, but the numbers seem good at the WSOP, records being broken. I mean, the Colossus was something else. So the game seems to be in good stead. Online, I'm not sure. And with respect to the state of the game, I know you watched the November 9. Some of the players took a bashing on social media because of the slow rate of play. Is that all part and parcel of the state of the game? Where do you think poker is right now?
Well, I think it's still in decent shape. I don't think we're in a situation where poker is on, a bad situation. I don't think that that's where we are. But like you said, there are scenarios of we need to, maybe have not a shot clock per se, but at least some kind of a speeding up of the game.
Let me say this, Bernard. I will say this, and whether you like Jamie Gold or Joe Hashem or not, 2005, 2006, when you look back at it, they were like two of the most exciting WSOPs ever. I mean, it just seemed exciting. I mean, the past couple of years, maybe not so much.
Well, I think that there's several reasons for that. First and foremost, it was new back then, right? 2003, Chris Moneymaker wins. Greg Raymer does what he does. And you have to remember, 2005 and 2006, and this is where Steve Daneman, who finished runner-up to Joe Hashem, and I have had many conversations about this to say how lucky we were to do it in 2005. People don't remember that in 2005 was the first year that it was actually reported daily. 2003, 2004, people kind of were resulting, but there was no real poker media. Poker media was born that year, and that was the first year that it was held at the Rio. And in 2004, with Greg Raymer and three, they was up at Binion's. So it was exploding press-wise back then. And that's why you have so much coverage and the excitement. The other thing is that what you've been watching over the last 2 or 3 years is every single hand is being shown. Now, to the general public, that's like watching paint dry. For me, it's so exciting because I try to put myself in the shoes of somebody and say, what would I do here if I was in their shoes, and really try to soak it in. This is worth 750,000 if I get eliminated on this hand or I wait one more person. I am going for $8.7 million and I am third in chips. What am I going to do? I try to put myself in that position, so it's extremely exciting for me because I've lived it. But the general population can never, ever imagine what it's like to be there. And they just want to see the all-in and call. That's all they want to see. And that's where the excitement was back in 2005 and 2006. And so you have this real difficult balance right now. Do we just show a taped version of it, or do we show it live? Well, the reason why November 9 was created in some respects was people didn't care anymore because we all knew who won. I mean, we all know Jamie Gold won. We all know Hashem won because everyone went on Card Player and figured it out. After a certain point, well, I think Hashem and Jamie Gold were different, but when Jerry Yang won, everyone knew. So that's where this November 9 was created. Well, when you do this November 9 creation, unfortunately or fortunately, it becomes live.
At Bernard Lee Poker on Twitter. You want to follow him. His website is bernardleepoker.com. Thanks again, man. Really appreciate it. Continued success in all avenues. Continue living the dream, my friend.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the time.